Welcome to Raptors Today. Randy Urban filling in for Akil Augustine, joined by Jevohn Shepherd and Paul Jones. I feel like I've started with Jonesy every time. So, Jevohn, I'll start with you. Raptors and Pistons going to close out the road trip 7 o'clock Wednesday evening in Detroit. This is a team that the Raptors lost to end that, as Jonesy said, 1,000-game losing streak.
Putrid losing streak.
Yeah. Detroit's been actually playing well. They're tied for the basement now, but like they're not so bad.
Are those numbers write home about, Jevohn? You write home about them?
Yeah, I mean, if you saw them before.
I'm not calling home to mama about these ones here, but no, Detroit, the last 3 games, they've actually been playing much better basketball, right? And it starts with guard play with Cade and Ivy, and both those guys have really, excelled in their just how they played the last couple of games in terms of putting the ball in the hole, in terms of, Ivy playing like a big-time athlete. But I think for Detroit, the important thing for them is they're winning the games they're supposed to. Won a game against Charlotte, won a game against Brooklyn, and those are games that you're supposed to win. Nobody has these, exceptional expectations for them.
Are they looking at Toronto, a game that they're supposed to win?
If anybody's looking at Toronto, as depleted as Toronto is, this is a game that you want. This is a game that you come in and you compete first and foremost. And both of these teams, it's their Super Bowl right now.
I think you make a good point, and you're also trying to establish something for next year. And the one thing I will say about Detroit, because I've watched them a lot, man, they play hard. They really do. Like Cade Cunningham is running that team. He's coming into his own. You talked about Jaden Ivey now. Killian Hayes is gone, so Ivy's he's got the ball in his hands more. And Duren has been really good in the front court. So they I think they're trying to build towards next year, but they have some guys that are about the effort.
A big part of it too is
that better than their record. If you really,
I agree,
the
Randy.
Better, but we also have to acknowledge, like, Cade is healthy now.
Yes,
right, and he's had some runway to get his rhythm, to get his flow. He's been through the bumps and bruises with this team, and I think just having him being on the floor, being a guy that's going to mature into a leader, and he's accepting that now.
I see them very much, in a sense, records aside, like the Raptors. In a sense that we're playing our young guys, we're trying to get them to build together because we want that to be a jumping off point, a basis for what we do in the summer and next year. And it can be done. It can be done. I mean, I look at Oklahoma City, and as we talked about in another segment, they went from the play-in to number 1. Mind you, they have an MVP, but you can make a tremendous jump with the right development, the right pieces being together at the right time.
You didn't even mention Ausar Thompson, one of the Thompson twins, and this guy, I had him on my fantasy team for a bit. He impacts the game. Well, he impacts the game at a high level.
I love the kid because he's okay playing defense at a time in the NBA when defense is kind of an afterthought. And I always said, give me that kid who wants to play defense. I'll give you a complete player because he won't forget about that end. He'll improve his offense, and all of a sudden, I got a two-way guy.
Well, give you the player that's going to play defense, but also give you the player that has that motor, right? And when you have young guys like that, you also want to be able to tell them to slow down. You don't want to have to tell them to pick it up and play harder, play tougher. And I think with Thompson, that's what Monty Williams has. The gem there is you don't have to tell him to slow down.
You talked about grinding your gears. That's one of the things that grinds my gears is why more guys don't have a motor.
Yeah.
You're in the NBA. Yeah. Run hard
Just
all
play hard.
the time.
Yeah.
That drives me nuts.
But again, it speaks to the generation we're in. Like back in the day, if you didn't have a motor, you didn't play.
Yeah.
You
remember
had
Kenneth Fareed?
Oh.
That was a motor.
Yeah.
Gerald Wallace, guys like that.
You had to. Ben Wallace,
Yeah.
you think about that Pistons team.
Back in the day, you guys were playing wrestling, so it wasn't basketball.
That's right because now
we were playing wrestling.
Now guys come around a screen and they plant their foot and throw their head back like they've been fouled, and there's nobody within 10 feet, and they get a call.
They're playing wrestling.
Jevohn not done with the 90s.
Wrestling.
All right, let's wrap it up now. Raptors play on the last game of their road trip March 13th in Detroit against the Pistons. Tip-off at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific for our friends on the West Coast. You can catch it on TSN and TSN 1050 on the radio. Listen to the sounds of these sweet men and their sweet voices. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching the Toronto Raptors YouTube channel. Check out our latest video and subscribe for more.
Kane denied. Lead pass. Here's McDaniels. In a crowd. Wide open three.